for supply chain marketing professionals for creating credibility and trust. Melissa Taylor is a business consultant with rogerandmelissa.com. Hi, Melissa.
Hey, how are you doing, Robert?
Good, thank you. And Christina Daves, a publicity strategist with PR for anyone. Hello, Christina.
Hey there.
Thanks, both of you, for being with me today. I really appreciate it. Let me start with you, Melissa. Lead generation, it's certainly one of the pillars of marketing, right? But in the supply chain industry, I wonder about so much emphasis being placed on lead gen over content development. Do we have that right? And if not, why not?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of businesses in the supply chain included is, lead gen, lead gen, lead gen, because obviously those get put in a pipeline and the pipeline for sales, and they get actually then bring dollars into the business. And what people tend to miss is that content creation is a lead generation strategy,
Hmm.
right? So there's all different kinds of lead generation. There's, um, relationship building, there is referrals, they're setting up strategic business alliances, there's all these different ways. But if the content isn't there to back up what you're doing in other aspects of your lead gen in today's world, that the lead gen is going to go, fall through like a sieve, right? Like just going to
Sure.
fall away. So the content creation actually is a lead generation strategy, but it also supports any other lead generation things that you're doing, because what's the first thing you do when you meet somebody? It's the first thing that you do when somebody reaches out to you. You look them up.
Hmm.
You look them up digitally. You look them up. And if there's nothing there and there's no thought leadership out there by the person or the business, I'm going on to the next one, because I want somebody who is showing their thought leadership through the content that they're providing out on the digital landscape of today.
That makes a lot of sense. So, this being the case, content development being put at the forefront, how can it be utilized to not only make lead gen more effective, but to actually build on the notions of trust and credibility?
Oh, they are the cornerstone, they really, of trust and credibility, right? I mean, Christine's going to talk about PR. That's another kind of cornerstone, but these are really important. We go over, and we're going to do this at Amelia Island, is going over like the code of content, right? Like code of conduct, but code of content, because the code is a way that you can make sure that your content is going to hit the people that you need to hit. It's going to bullseye them right between the eyes. So they're like, "Ooh, I need that company because that's what I need in my business." Like there are ways to utilize that code of content to not only do the credibility and create trust, but to get people to like you. You actually can make them feel like they've been to your office, they've been to your place, they have met your people. They know when they call up the phone, they're getting George, and George likes peanut butter on his bananas. Like there's a way that you can do a lot of content that isn't always necessarily about what you do, but who you are as
Well,
a company. And
give
that's
us
what people
some
want.
give me some tips then on creating effective content development. Some real blue sky type of innovative ways and what that means to the supply chain world specifically.
Oh, absolutely. There's a million different ways to get creative with this, right? I mean, we all know that we have to know who our target market is, what they're interested in, what they need to know, what's going to make a difference in their decision-making process of who they're going to use. But you know, before and after. But what they often don't think about is in today's world, it's very relationship driven. So the more they can talk about their team, their process, behind the scenes kind of things, it actually generates a lot of buzz. So we have one supply chain company here in Charlotte that started doing like TikToks. I mean, crazy, right? But like
Hmm.
TikToks and Instagram stories of like stupid things, like they dressed up like ghosts on Halloween and they all had the glasses on over their sheets. And but here's the thing, their bottom line has increased tremendously in 6 months because of these crazy, weird little things of just like meet the team. So now I'm not
Wow.
saying everybody has to get a TikTok account or an Instagram stories, but what I'm
Thank you.
saying is there's different buckets, right? There's
Mhm.
lots of different buckets, and not all the buckets have to do with how great you are or how great your customer service is or how wonderful your new SaaS product is or how perfect your, 3PL is. It's all about, it's more than that. There's more buckets that you need to pay attention to in today's
Wow.
world.
Can't believe that people and intimacy and getting to know somebody are still important in this world. That's great. Thank you so
It
much,
is.
Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
Christina, let me turn to you and ask you, what do you see as some of the priorities for supply chain marketing professionals when it comes to PR and editorial, and how can those contribute to valuable content?
The first thing is they've got to start doing it. There are so many stories out there. I said this last year at the summit, and I'll bring it up again. Pre-COVID, the supply chain industry, maybe some people knew about it. You didn't really care about it until we couldn't get our toilet paper. And now people, like, we know supply chain, and there are stories constantly there. We just lost one of the biggest trucking companies that we've ever had. What were there? It was
Yellow, yeah.
100, yeah, Yellow, 80
Mhm.
to 100 years they were there. I didn't see many stories of, people that I met at the summit who pitched that story. It's just doing it, like paying attention to what is happening. That was the prime opportunity in every single market. Every local supply chain company could have hit their local news and said, let me tell you what this means for supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa helped us understand a little bit about what people are getting wrong in terms of putting lead gen in front of content development. In the PR and editorial area, Christina, what are we getting wrong, especially in supply chain?
Yeah. Well, as Melissa said, it's really important. You have to check out. The media is going to check you out. You have to have that content there. You have to have that thought leadership there. That's the first thing. That has to be in place before you start pitching. But then the problem is people are pitching about them, their company. It's not about them. It's about the audience. It's about the value that can be provided through that story. I promise that your companies will reap all of the benefits with the link backs and mentioning, whoever your representative is and your company name, but shifting that mindset to not, oh, write about my company. We're so great. It's, let me tell you about our expertise and how we can provide value to the story you're trying to tell.
Mm-hmm. Christina, though, as you know, in the world of the internet, there's so much noise out there. Yeah. How do we promote this notion of trust from your standpoint, PR and editorial, because trust is so important, as we've established? Where does the notion of trust come into your picture?
Well, as we've been talking about, the content development is really important to have that, to have a blog, to have social media, whatever it is, that you want to have. And then it's up to you to share it with people. I always say you have to be your own megaphone. If you get some media, make sure your clients and your potential clients see that, because that is instant trust. That's what they call earned media. It's somebody else telling the world you're great because that media outlet is willing to use you. But you can't just rely on the fact that, oh, they'll see that article in USA Today, or, oh, they'll read that in a trade magazine. It's really up to you to be proactive, to show your trustworthiness by sharing that article or that interview, whatever that is.
Wait a minute. You're saying the whole world's not reading Supply Chain Brain?
They are.
Okay. But even that, I take your point that you have to be a lot more proactive in that area. It all comes down to creating trust as a foundation for supply chain marketing and all the pillars of that we'll be discussing at length at the second Global Supply Chain Marketing Summit on Amelia Island, Florida from June 5th through 7th, 2024. And we'll see both you, Melissa, and you, Christina, there. Very excited about the event this year. So I want to thank both of you for joining me to give everybody just kind of a glimpse into what we're going to be talking about and why this is such an important issue to be talking about now. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for being with me today.
Thanks.
Thank you.